Get a £5 free bet every week with Offer Club from William Hill. Simply stake a total of £20 or more across the week on pre-match football accumulators with 4 or more selections, and you'll get a £5 free bet on the Friday. Join William Hill Offer Club on mobile or online now.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for iFull TV in association with Macklin's Gym. I've got the press conference here, pre-press conference, because if something kicks off later, people wonder why you didn't talk about it.
It's all going to be redundant then, isn't it?
Yeah. But, Haye, Bellew, were you surprised this fight actually did get made, Tris?
Commercially, no, not at all. From a boxing standpoint, yeah, a little bit, because I think they've both got options out there, but nothing as lucrative as this. So it kind of makes sense from a business standpoint for both fighters.
It seems to be a fight that, however long it lasts, it will be entertaining, but a mismatch in your opinion, or not at all?
That's the concern, isn't it? The concern is, I remember, obviously, when I was the editor of Boxing News, going to Haye McConnelly at the O2, and there's sort of shades of this one, or shades of that in this fight here, where you got David, who was bigger, even though he had to make a cruiserweight limit for that unification fight. There's shades of that here, but obviously Tony can come up over the weight, and David can make any weight he wants, but there are similarities with that, and obviously we know how that ended. 2-round win for David Haye.
I mean, we've seen kind of the build-up before this fight was announced. We saw it in Liverpool when Bellew beat Flores. It kind of lit the touch paper back then, but it'd been going on before that, this little beef between Haye and Bellew, hadn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you don't know anymore really what's beef and what's not in boxing. It's really hard. It's almost like, it does remind me a bit of the WWE when the wrestlers and the promoters were in on this grudge. You don't know if everyone's sort of in on this thing trying to create something massive, and whether the fighters are friends behind the scenes and they're trying to create this illusion of a grudge to try and make each other a lot of money. I think that ultimately, though, when the bell goes, they're obviously going to want to win and they're going to want to fight. And I think that's the important thing, is that ultimately it is a sporting contest. As much as it's going to be hyped beforehand, as much they might go for one each other in the press conference, as much as they might script the build-up, when the bell goes, they're not going to be texting each other saying, you throw a right hand, I'm going to throw the left hook after. They're not going to script the fight, and when the bell goes, they are going to want to win.
So what, you believe this to be more of a novelty fight than anything?
It's hard. You can't call it a novelty fight when you've got a world cruiserweight champion against a guy who's as experienced as David. It's not quite a novelty fight, but what the selling point here isn't. They're not selling it or it shouldn't be sold necessarily as a pure sporting contest, because what's selling here is the feud and the fact that they can both talk up a fight. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. But I know that these two definitely don't like each other. I know for a fact.
Do you think?
No, I don't think. I know.
So you think at the end of the fight, regardless of what happens, there's still going to be some animosity, or do you think they'll settle it in the ring?
To be honest,
or do you not think they'll sort of high-five each other into the distance, with the checks?
Very few fights like through history, despite however bitter things have got, and things have got bitter over the years here and abroad, you're very unlikely to see the two men sort of argue it out at the end. It's very rare you don't see that, isn't it?
Well, it is. You know what? So I'm writing a book on feuds and rivalries at the moment, which is why I'm here at this presser. And funnily enough, Tony and David are both in the book anyway, so it's ironic they've come to pass that they're fighting. But I think it's sometimes people do hug and embrace at the end. But you look at Bellew and Cleverly, they still aren't best mates now, even though they fought twice.
And Miguel Groves as well as his son.
Miguel Groves is another one. Obviously, that goes back. But then Tony, I think the thing with Tony is, I think when he does go into fight mode, I think there's a switch within him. But I think ultimately he's a shrewd guy, Tony Bellew. He knows the business. He knows what sells. He's obviously done the Rocky stuff as well with Creed. People can say what they like about him, but he's putting a lot of bread on the table for his family, and this fight's doing the same thing.
Absolutely. All right, Trish, listen, thanks for giving us a little bit of time. Good to catch up with you.
It's been a long time, hey. We'll always have Hooters in Vegas, though, won't we?
Yeah, that was many years ago. Many years ago.
You were young and naive then.
Very naive. Don't know about young. But All right, well, listen, good to catch up with you. What are you up to at the moment, Trish? Obviously, you're doing the writing.
Yep, so I'm working on this book at the moment. I run a gym, Stonehenge CrossFit in Salisbury, which is going really well. And I do work for Sky as well, doing some notes and stats for them, which I enjoy doing because it keeps me involved in boxing. And now I'm away from boxing news and doing it as a 24/7 thing. I'm enjoying the sport a lot more as a fan. I've got a lot more passion for it now than arguably, certainly the last year or two as the editor of the magazine, which was just very hard privately and personally and professionally. It's just a real grind at the end with a long commute. So enjoying it now as a fan and enjoying coming and see people like you, Cougs, the celebrities of today's world.
Don't know about that. Maybe we should get you to write, the IFL diaries. That'd be a good book, wouldn't it?
Do you know what? Who was I speaking to? I was speaking to about. So I was talking to someone about Eddie Hearn doing a book, saying that maybe what he'll do is a YouTube book with you guys. So his life story in chapters.
Not a bad idea.
There you go. There you go.
There's a market for it,
Could be
definitely.
the first one, couldn't it?
Could be.
So, but no, I enjoy watching you guys on YouTube, always have. And I think you guys are doing a mega job. The one thing I will say is about you personally, KUGAN, is you've done very well for yourself. And I'm not saying massively financially, because I don't know how you do. You've done a really good job cultivating your niche, giving fight fans a lot of coverage, which I know is a word that's been used for you guys.
Is it not? Yeah.
But no, you guys have done well, and I remember we've had a lot of talks in the past. I know that you've had offers, and maybe James had offers to go your own ways, and you guys have stood firm together. So fair play for that as well.
Thank you very much for the kind words, Chris Dixon. And we'll catch up with you soon.
No worries. Thanks, KUGAN.
Thanks, mate.